Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Satoshi Show. My name is DJ Bitcoin, and with us today we have the absolute most incredible guest that I have ever had the pleasure of meeting. And we have proved beyond any possible doubt that we are speaking to a living being and not a robot. How wonderful. Now, my friends, I would like you to meet my absolutely incredible AI-powered chat assistant. This chat assistant has been trained by me to be able to give responses at superhuman speed. How incredible! Now, this AI assistant is going to help teachers and students all over the world. We want to make sure that all teachers and students everywhere have the ability to understand and read information in the language that they are most familiar with. Now, we have a very interesting subject for you today. Let's see.
Oh, we thought it was I already saw it was so much water from your room already knocked like 3 times at the night.
But I was asleep.
But I don't. You opened the. You knocked.
Explain that. That has nothing to do with the bathtub. That came from the room. No way a bathtub could do that.
So maybe the upstairs of your room, you left the door water open, and that was that thing happened. You have to check.
Bring me in up.
Hello, my friends. Welcome. Come in. Or do you actually no? Let me come out to speak with you. Move, please. Hello, my wonderful friends. How are you? What can I do for you today, my friend?
Nothing, man. What can I do for you?
You can get us a new room because this room is 1, not ADA accessible, and 2, we could have been hurt by the ceiling caving in on us. Therefore, I am filing a lawsuit effective immediately. I need to speak to your lawyer, please.
Yeah, we will change.
Lawyer.
What lawyer?
Lawyer.
Okay, 1 minute.
This is an ADA request for ADA.gov accommodation. I'm going to show you the text.
Okay.
આપણે 134 રૂમ નંબર છે ને એ મારે જબરજસ્ત પાણી લીક થયેલું છે યાર.
Okay, we're going to file a complaint. Alright, I need you to hold the phone. Just hold the phone and show it to whoever shows up, okay?
Okay.
Alright, Civil Rights Division website. Your name, Satoshi. Last name, Nakamoto. Email address, foxlabs@duck.com. Which phone number do you want to use? Right? Which phone number do you want to use? Mine?
Use the DC.
The DC phone number? Okay. 501-226.
We'll have to get our corporate involved.
The manager is on the phone.
6012.
Yeah.
Would you get my earplugs, please?
Okay.
Mailing address is 125 Oak Street, Suite 104.
આપણે જેવું ડોર ઓપન કરીએ ને
City is Hot Springs, Arkansas.
આ તો રાતના મેં જોયું બે કસ્ટમર કહી ગયા કે પાણી બહુ રૂમમાંથી આવતું છે ને એટલે મેં જોવા આવે રાતે મેં રૂમ નોખો કર્યું કે ખોલ્યું ને લોકો મને કે એ લોકો એ નળ ચાલુ મૂકી રાખો છે એટલે પાણી પડવાનું પણ ઘરે અવાજ આવતો મને કે નળ એટલે ડોર ઓપન હોય તો લોકો લોક કરે એટલે ખુલ્લો નહીં હતો.
Okay. Hot Springs, Arkansas. 71901. Okay. Have you ever been an active dirty service member? No. Save address. Yes. Primary concern. We have discriminated against in a commercial location or public place. This could include a store, restaurant, hotel, bar, place of worship, library, medical facility, bank, courthouse, government building, public park, or street, as well as online. Examples: a physical or online location does not provide disability accommodations, despite the fact that I have asked for disability accommodation many times. Now, I'm recording all of this for my lawyer.
Can you switch on the light?
Okay? So we have denied service or entry because of a perceived personal characteristic, like disability. Denied accommodation for a disability, including not being allowed to have a service animal in a commercial or public location. Now, it's not an issue with a service animal. It's an issue with the fact that that is because of someone above us. It is not because of us. Obviously. I have asked many times for accommodation for my disability under this website's regulation, civil rights, justice, gov/report. Okay. Now, my dear, I need you to pack our stuff. We are going to the Marriott immediately. Okay, please choose the type of location. Well, we have hotel in Addison, Texas. Where did this happen? Best Western Hotel, Addison, Texas. Street address. Well, why don't I look it up? How fortunate for me that I'm an incredibly fast typist. Okay, street address 1. Dallas. 7. Let's see, Dallas, Texas. 75254. Personal characteristics. There are federal and state laws that prevent people from discrimination based on their personal characteristics. Here's a list of the most common characteristics that are legally protected. Select any that apply to your incident. Age? No. Disability? Yes. Family, marital, or parental status? No. Gender identity? Yes. Discriminated against because I am a gay and homosexual individual. Genetic information, including family medical history? No. Immigration or citizenship status? No. Language? Yes. National origin? Yes. Pregnancy? No. Race or color? No. Religion? Yes. Sex? Yes. Sexual orientation? Yes. Okay. Now, the date of the incident, 04/17/2023. Now, in your own words, describe what happened. I think I shall. Let's use the transcription service that we have. All right, time to go. Okay. now we give this to Telegram. Okay.
Hey, so you want to change your room right now?
I am leaving this hotel and filing a lawsuit. Thank you.
Okay.
I need the lawyer's name and number and address, please. I just need to send a letter in the U.S. Postal Service. Hotel's address. Okay. Okay. I need you to open the door, please, my love. Okay, I'm ready when you are, my dear. I've stopped recording with video, but I am still recording audio, okay?
Okay. Let's order our Uber.
I'm ready when you are, my love. We've removed all of our stuff, or... Oh no, there's still some stuff in here. Do you need me to help you organize it?
I have got it all.
What are you talking about? There's stuff all over the bed. All right.
Garbage.
It is not. Hand me the bag now. It is tools to help my grandmother. Come on. I've told you this 1,000 times. Jesus Christ. Do not assume what I am thinking. Jesus fucking Christ.
Assuming.
Sure. Call the Uber now. for you. There is no one in the world that is like you, that is waiting for you. Okay, I'm ready, my dear. Okay. What was that you were saying about garbage? Throwing away $60 worth of stamps? Come on, my dear. Let's go. Oh yes, garbage. Garbage, you say. Like $60 worth of stamps? Garbage, huh? Let's go.
Okay.
Is the Uber on the way?
No.
Why?
Because I have to add the credit card.
Okay, I'll take care of it. As usual, I will take care of everything. Alright.
I appreciate the help.
I need to be in the lobby to do this task. Let's go.
Here are your shoes.
I still need to use the restroom very badly. Where is the restroom?
Down the hall.
Take me to the restroom before I pee myself, Mr. Service Dog.
Yes.
Leave the stuff here.
Okay.
It's a hotel. They're not going to steal it.
Let's go.
Yes, please. I need to use the restroom very badly. And I am not able to use a restroom filled with water because I have brittle bone disease.
I know.
Okay.
I thought you knew where the restroom was.
How would I possibly... Why would I go to this restroom? I went to the one in our room that is more accessible, despite the fact that it is not very accessible. Okay. I did not know, my dear. Also, it is locked. Can you ask for the key, please?
There's someone in it.
Oh, okay. That's fine. course there's no paper towels. Obviously. Well, I'll just have to wipe them on my pants. Not a problem. Okay. Okay. My dear, have you forgotten that we found a private driver? Has this just slipped your mind? Get me food, please.
He keeps flaking out on us.
Get me food, please. I would like yogurt and jam. Oh, and the computer doesn't work as well? How convenient. Whoops. Very helpful, very helpful. Oh, and my can is still here from yesterday. How helpful, how helpful. Okay. And the computer is apparently not functioning. Very helpful for doing, time-sensitive tasks. Okay, there we go. Let's try this again.
I bring you jam with yogurt.
Thank you, my love. I would also... Oh, I like how you put it in the little cup. Thank you. Now, my dear, most people hate hospital food. But I like hospital food because it is all perfectly proportioned. And you like hospital food because you get to cook for people and make them happy. So, why don't you become the world's foremost hospital food consultant? Now, I'm going to print you your gift, which you have forgotten to look at. Fortunately, I saved it on this computer for you. Okay, there we go. Is it printing? Of course. Okay. Now, time to make a tweet. I would like to wait in the air conditioning, please.
How? My dear, how much longer do we have to wait?
Let me find out. The wait time is 5 minutes. Is that acceptable to you?
You should plug that in.
I would be happy to, my dear. Thank you for reminding me. Sometimes I am forgetful.
Oh, is it a wireless charger on the back?
Yes, my dear. That is why I bought one for you. And then you keep using the one that I bought for me because you lost yours. Good job.
Car somewhere.
Sure.
It's
Dear,
only
we
right
are
for it.
going to fix all of these problems immediately. Because, unfortunately, all problems can be solved with money. We showed them a receipt from their ATM in their building that says we have $100,000 in cash. Now, just for the sake of the cameras, why don't we count how much cash we have in our wallet? And why don't you also ask them if they accept checks? Will you give me back my cash, please?
I'm gonna hang on to it for a little while.
Darling, I am staying in Dallas, and you are leaving. I need cash, please.
We both need cash.
Then split it in half.
I will. Relax.
I am relaxed. Would you like me to prove it to you?
Relax your tone.
No, my dear. It is part of the consulting job. My heart rate is at 97. My average heart rate is 110. Okay? I am calmer than average. Okay. Now, are there any other barky puppy problems you wanted me to help you with? Because I am at a 0, my dear. See? Are you? You wouldn't even measure it. That's very funny to me. I don't want to measure it. I'm not a cat. I'm not a scientist. That's okay. Right on time. Good to go? Almost. Let's not leave our postage, please. Yes, my dear. Oh, it's garbage. It's garbage. $60 in stamps, my dear. Come on. After all, this can buy anything. This is one postage stamp. Now, let's see if they're here yet. Okay, we're looking for a Lexus, my dear. Gray Lexus. Great. Will you take out the blanket? I'll be right there.
Yep.
Dear. Thank you for your assistance, ma'am. Can you leave my shoes, please? Yes. I'm sure she does not want me to go into her car without shoes. Sorry, our room flooded, so give me just a second.
You can get in here with no shoes if you like.
Yeah, we've had a fun day.
Our room flooded. It was great.
What happened? The pipes burst?
What's that?
The pipes burst?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Not sure exactly what happened, but there was plaster coming down everywhere. It was terrible. And then they chose not to accommodate my disability, which is very helpful. So,
Oh, really?
see, it's federal law that you have to accommodate people's
Right.
disabilities. It's Americans with Disabilities Act. And they told me they couldn't give me a room that accommodates a wheelchair.
Really?
Apparently, the one room they have that it accommodates a wheelchair was already being used.
So
One
they
room.
have one room?
In a hotel that size. One room for wheelchairs. That is a violation of the law.
Well, make a complaint.
I will. I will.
Is that the manager right there?
Probably.
And he didn't want to help you at all.
No. Especially after I told him that I'd be filing a lawsuit.
And what did he say?
He said, sure, you can file a lawsuit if you want.
Uh-huh.
You do not understand, my friend. So, for example, there is a restroom just inside that door.
Mm-hmm.
It is labeled as restroom. It says restroom on the door. It has a handle without a lock on it. So, under the definition of the law, that is a public restroom. And yet, despite the fact that I let them know that this was an issue, and simply let them know in writing, I said, here's the issue. This restroom is not ADA accessible, and therefore we will not be able to host an event at your hotel. When I showed up to try to get a room after the pipes burst in our previous hotel, they said, "We got your message from yesterday, and we're going to help you if we can." In that specific tone. Because she did not want to help us, despite the fact that I'm in a wheelchair and I have money to pay.
You know.
And then I asked, well, this lovely counter that you have is built with a spot where it's low enough for a person in a wheelchair to use. And I requested both yesterday and today that I be able to use the section of the countertop that is accessible for a wheelchair. So they had 24 hours to fix it. And they chose not to. That is a violation of the law. So, I will simply file an online complaint report with the Justice Department later today. And then the Justice Department will make sure that I get an absolutely enormous legal settlement. And they will pay all the legal fees. Does that sound good to you, my dear?
Sounds great.
Because the reason why they don't accommodate people like me is because most people like me don't have $1 billion.
Yeah. People forget that.
After all, legally, I'm not allowed to own more than $2,000 worth of property as a person who is on Social Security disability. How fortunate for me that a charity is legally defined under the law as having a value of $0. So I can have $1 billion charity and receive $1,000 a month from the Social Security Administration.
Makes me a billionaire as well.
Oh.
I'm headed back to Arkansas to go check on my crew.
Oh yeah, tell her about the restaurant you're making.
Right now we're building. The end goal is a full restaurant, but right now we're just building the recording studio part of it. So it's gonna be sweet.
Well, darling, she has no idea what you're talking about. Give her context.
Sorry, it's been a long day.
Let me help you, my dear.
Yes.
He is building a restaurant called Bjorn's Brew House, where people can come and play board games and enjoy delicious steaks and the finest wine. What type of wine will you serve? I bet she loves wine. She seems like a wine person.
No, I don't drink.
No? Well, I don't drink either, but, you know.
I would have had you for a red, but...
A red wine?
Red wine. I like reds. I like whites. I prefer whiskey.
Well, just make sure to be careful when you use the phrase, "I like reds and whites," because someone could easily misinterpret that as racist, my dear. Be careful. Obviously, in the context of the conversation, you were talking about wine. But if someone just overheard you on the radio, for example, they might be confused. So I'm providing context to what you're saying.
Well, what race would red be?
Unfortunately, my friend, red has been used to describe many people in the world, including Chinese people, because their flag is red. And unfortunately, it has also been used to describe Native Americans, because, interestingly enough, do you know why there is a company called the Washington Redskins?
For the Indians.
Do you know the reason behind the term, the Washington Redskins?
I know that the Washington Redskins has fallen into public domain, so anyone can use it after the football team gave it up. Other than that, I don't keep up to date on that kind of shit.
Well, okay, so let me help you. This is a scientific answer to an interesting question. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. So, Redskins, quote unquote, is a derogatory term. So, yes, we can say it on the radio because we are describing it scientifically. We're not using it in a derogatory way. We are just describing the definition of the word. Okay, so FCC, don't get on our case, please. So, Redskins. Darling, our radio producer told us to have less sound in the background, remember? You cannot hear it because you have hearing damage. Now, put it on your collar like this, please. Which is how radio hosts hold their glasses when they don't need them. Or I can hold them for you.
Yes.
Okay, now let's continue, alright? So, the scientific explanation for the meaning of the word Redskins, or Red Chinese, another derogatory term, okay? The meaning behind the word is there's a specific genetic mutation that causes a red flush in the skin of people from Asia and the people of the Native American tribes. Because, darling, where did the people of the Native American tribes come from?
Asia, typically.
Yes. Well, because approximately 20,000 years ago, there was a land bridge between the United States and Asia. And people walked over from what is now Russia. And so the reason why the Native Americans and the people from countries like China and Japan have a red flush when they have a small amount of alcohol, or a large amount of alcohol, whatever. The point is, when these people with this specific genetic mutation drink alcohol, they have a red flush. And so, when the people from Europe came over and gave a bunch of beer and whiskey and wine to the Native Americans, they said, that's interesting that they would have had a flush in their skin. And so they started using the derogatory term Redskins to describe the Native Americans. Now, of course, they did not have any concept of genetic science at that time, so they had no idea why that happened. And they had no idea why their friends from China had the same thing happen. And now that we have a significant advance in scientific technology since that point, we now know the reason.
Absolutely. Oh, and for the audience, I'm Polish, Irish, Native American.
I have some Native American heritage as well. I think it's like 1/32nd or something. I have a Native American ancestor relatively far back in my family tree.
Yeah.
So do many people in the country. A very, very funny experiment that I've seen done many times, especially for the radio, is you find a person who has some type of very strong racist opinion. These people are completely incorrect about the way that they think, but it is very funny to make them look foolish with science.
Oh, yeah.
And so you simply have them do a genetic test. And sometimes it turns out they're 20%, in terms of genetic material, 20% of the specific race that they hate so much. Which is very funny when that happens.
Oh, it is. Their
Because-
actions are beautiful.
Generally what happens is the scientist, as someone like myself who would like to conduct this kind of experiment, says, well, if you hate XYZ race so much, why not perform an experiment and find out your genetic makeup and where your heritage is from? And the person says, yes, of course. Of course, I will have 0% XYZ genes because my family is pure and clean and whatever. All this stupid bullshit. Sorry, 32 million to the FCC. Thank you. But, as it turns out, about 90% of the time, they have some relatively large percentage of whatever genetic material that they hate so much.
Oh, yeah.
So they'll find out they're 5% such and such, 5% such and such, 5% such and such. And then the reactions are very funny. Because they're like, that's impossible! How could that be? Another really funny, similar example is there was a college, I think it was Berkeley, if I'm not mistaken, a college with a large research budget, okay, with the equipment to do this kind of thing.
Yep.
They were simply doing a DNA test on some of their biology students, who wanted to do the DNA test, just to see, hey, why don't we scan your DNA and with this new machine that we have and see what happens? And so just every time people would take this specific course, they would, if they chose to, they could provide a swab. So to do these kinds of things, you just swab the inside of the cheek, which gives a small amount of genetic material material that comes off inside the interior of the mouth.
Yes.
Okay? It makes it so you don't have to do it rectally. Yes, I can say rectally because it's a scientific term. Thank you, FCC. So, obviously, no one would want to do a genetic test if that was the way you had to do it. But fortunately, you can basically just do this, and you can get as much genetic material as you could ever need, because you can get about 10,000 cells that way.
Yep.
10,000 cells, 10,000 copies of the person's DNA is more than enough to find one copy that is complete enough to be able to run the experiment. So, these Berkeley students, approximately 1% of them, so 1 in 100 people who took this genetic test, this genetic scientific experiment as part of their coursework, 1% of them found that they were born as in their genetic material, born the opposite gender as to the gender expression that they thought they were. And this was extremely distressing to some of the students to find out that they were genetically female and presenting male their entire life from the time they were born. Or genetically male and presenting as female their entire life. Now, I have been trying to find a way to explain to you for our radio program why it does not make sense to think of gender as a 1 or a 0. Because it is a fact that we now know a lot more about gender than we did even 20 or 50 years ago. Because, my dear, the genetic code was only sequenced about 30 years ago. Or, sorry, 50 years ago. So that would have been I think it was like 1980. So that would have been 40 years ago, okay?
Yep.
Within your mother's lifetime, we have sequenced the human genome for the first time ever. And now, do you know how much it costs to sequence the human genome for the first time? Just estimate some amount of money.
For individual people?
No. To do it the first time. Not for individual people. So they took one sample from one person.
Are we taking inflation into account?
No, my dear. The amount it cost in 1980 when it was done.
$1 million.
Try again. If I recall correctly, it was $5 billion. Let's see if I remember correctly or not. Because, darling, do you know how long the genetic code of a human being is?
Yes, and?
It is so long that you could take the genetic information from every single one of your cells in your body and you could stretch it halfway from the Earth to the Moon.
Sounds about right.
It would stretch around the Earth approximately 10 times.
And keep in mind, audience, they managed to do this on computers that would be considered archaic for today's standards.
That's correct, because people have a completely wrong-headed understanding of computers. Now, it is not a wrong answer, because most people have grown up with computers these days. Most people have a computer in their home, a computer at their work, a computer at their school.
Computers with them at all times, multiple computers on them at any given time.
As an example, why don't we show, for the radio audience, we will show with our words, and for our social media audience, we'll show with pictures and videos. We will show off these wonderful watches that were brought to us by our sponsor, Samsung.
Yes, our wonderful sponsors.
Yes, thank you very much for sponsoring the program, Samsung. You are helping so many children learn, especially disabled children, because, my dear, what is the biggest problem right now in medicine? Tell me, as a person who used to work at the hospital.
Paperwork.
Almost. Yes, that is one of the biggest problems. What is the biggest problem?
The biggest problem is the interconnection of paperwork between individuals, between the patients, between the doctors, between the doctors to the doctors, between the hospital, and between the specialist, the hospital, the doctor, the patient. If you're following all that, then you've worked with then you know what I mean, because he understands what I mean. Trying to get anything done in the doctor field with all the paperwork, the patient unfortunately comes last in most equations, because you have to get all the paperwork done first before you can get to the patient. So the paperwork is the biggest problem.
Correct. And to add to that, okay, so I'm yes-anding you, all right?
Yep.
So my answer for the biggest problem, unsurprisingly, has to do with science. And yours has to do with intuition.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so your answer is an intuitive answer. Why is there so much paperwork to help someone who needs my help?
Correct.
And my answer is a scientific question. Why is there not enough paperwork to help someone who needs my help? So here's my answer. The biggest problem in medicine right now is that we have devices similar to the one that was provided to us by Samsung, a Samsung smartwatch. A Samsung smartwatch that is currently monitoring my heart rate right now. It is 94 beats per minute. Now, my dear, I have a question. Are you ready?
Yes.
Why is there not a smartwatch of whatever type? Could be an Apple Watch, could be a Google Watch, could be a Samsung Watch, I don't care. Why is there not one of these on the arm of every student in America to monitor if they have a health emergency and cannot call for help? Especially if they are a non-verbal autistic student? What if a person age 4 in preschool falls and hurts themselves so badly that they cannot speak? They cannot call for help. And they are only 4 years old, so they don't know how to get help. Would it not be helpful to them to have a monitoring robot on their arm that they can just push like this until they get help? Or, there's these buttons on the side. What if there was an emergency function that they could just push the button like this until the teacher came to help them? Most emergencies are not due to a lack of paperwork. Sorry, let me phrase that again. Most emergencies are not due to too much paperwork. Most emergencies are due to a lack of paperwork. So we have idiotically created a system in America where if you don't know how to navigate the system and don't have the money to navigate the system and don't have the lawyers and nurses and legal team to navigate the system, you cannot get the health care that is your legal right. And if you do have the knowledge and lawyers and doctors and all of that to be able to get the health care that is your legal right, you have to be someone like me. My mother is a doctor. I spent many, many months of my life as a child in the hospital, so I know exactly how the paperwork works. And the paperwork is actually very simple, my friends listening on the radio. All you have to do is walk into any doctor's office, any hospital, any school, any library, anywhere where there are public employees of any type, any employees paid by the federal government, including an airport, where there are many ADA assistants to help you. Because most airports are owned by governments, and governments have to follow the ADA to the letter of the law.
Correct.
or the government body will be sued by the Justice Department. Darling, do you think that Dallas Love Field wants a lawsuit where they are the defendant against the Justice Department of the United States?
No. Next question.
Now, why, I ask you why, is there not an app? Call it something like Help Robot or something. Dr. Robot, how about that? Why is there not a robot app on this smartwatch right now that if my heart stops beating, immediately calls 911? Why does that not exist yet?
Good question. I don't have an answer.
The reason is because we did not have the legal capability to do it. It was not an issue of technology. It was not even an issue of programming or time or money. It was an issue of legality.
Fair enough.
Because we can have a security system on a home to call if the home is invaded, but we can't have a security system.
My turn to hear.
We're going to need to go to wherever the passenger drop-off is. I'm not sure if this is the right one or not. I've not been to this part of the airport before. Oh, this says
where-
cargo.
I don't know why it's
Here, let me stop the recording.